Come up here and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So when you come up, give me like 2 or 3 lines. Here's the American flag. You can face the American flag, and you're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So come on down, as they say. Yeah. Bring your big smiles. You're going to be on TV. What's that?
John. John?
No, I got
John?
lozenges, thanks. Look, kid, we're a match. Oh my gosh, what are you doing here? I didn't think they let you out at night. I didn't think they let you out at night. Where's your brother? Now, he told me he was better looking. Now, it's not true, is it? Oh. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to organize myself here. Okay. Gentlemen and ladies, how about if you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance so we can start with you. Here we go. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, do you want to sit in my seat since you're going to be a politician when you grow up? No? Good, thanks. I'm safe. Okay. Also, thanks. I just bring those. Okay. While we're up here, we're going to ask you to please keep in mind those who have passed on, especially in those tragic shootings that you see in our schools and our churches and such. So we're going to ask you to please take a moment, silent meditation or prayer, and then we'll have you sit back in your seats. Okay. All right, gentlemen, back to your seats at ease. And lady, where'd she go? She was there a second ago. No, there she is. She went to the extreme right. Yeah, well, she was over to the left before. That's what it was. Now, is this for credit? Is that right? You're here because when your troop masters say to you, you may leave because it's going to be a long meeting, you don't have to stay for the entire time, okay? So at your discretion, when you think it's gotten late enough, you can just move out together, okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bensalem Township Council meeting. I'm Ed Kisselbach, Chairman of the Bensalem Township Council. I'd like to introduce you to those of us that are at the podium. Today's date is May 22nd, 2023. We have our Township Engineer, Phil Worcester. Next to him, we have our Township Clerk, Debbie Breen. To my extreme right, we have our Township Solicitor, and that's our attorney. And that's Joe Pizzo. He's a distinguished-looking one. And we have the Mayor, Honorable Mayor Joseph DiGirolamo, attending our meeting with us this evening also. Our council members are, I'm going to start on the right side for a change this time. We have our Secretary, Joe Knowles, next to him. We have Stacy Champion, Councilwoman to the extreme left on the council. We have Michelle Benitez, and we have Joseph Polari, our Township Vice President. And again, I'm Ed Kisselbach. So we'll begin the meeting, and we'll start with agenda item number 3. Or 2, I should say, which is public comment. Now, if you'd like to come up and say anything, you're certainly welcome, but each agenda item, you can come up and comment on that, as well as at the end of the evening, we do have a second agenda, which will allow you to have public comment also. No one's coming up? Anyone from the Scouts like to say anything about their troop and what they're doing? Sir? Ma'am? No? Okay. You are Troop 132, is that correct? And you're from St. Charles? Okay, I didn't want to make a mistake, so it's from St. Charles. How come you're so large? You got a lot of kids here, man.
Is that great?
Yeah, pretty large. Is that unusual for you, or is that pretty norm?
We currently have 25 scouts in our troop.
Yeah, that's good. All right, well, good for you. All right. Hey, if I can suggest one thing. If you can continue and become an Eagle Scout, which is your ultimate opportunity to really shine as a scout, try to really do it, because that's certainly presented later on in life and is quite an important accomplishment on your part when either you go to high school and or college, and when you go for job interviews and things like that. So, so if you can do that, that's wonderful. I was in the Scouts myself. I made it all the way up to a Weeblo, so there I am. Okay, and you have Scouts in your house.
I have two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, well, thanks for being here with us. Agenda item number 3, which is the approval of the council minutes from April 24th, 2023. We had 3 council members here, so I ask if there's no changes, I ask for approval.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor to approve
Yeah, I'll
the
second the
council minutes.
motion.
We have a second on the motion. Excuse me. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
And against, the abstentions, that is unanimous. We have 2 abstentions since the ladies weren't here.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, let me get my pen. Now, agenda item number 4, this is consideration of the 2019 Community Development CARES Act Funds Amendment. Mr. Pizer, can you explain that to us, what's happening?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I think
Mr.
it's
Mayor?
pretty simple. It's, again, we have to move the money, and council has okay it just to make everything copacetic with the funds from the COVID, and there's nothing happening except the funds are being moved around.
So we're taking
Asking council to-
we're taking the funds from the CARES Legal Aid Program, and we're transferring them to the CARES Food Bank Program. So it's certainly a good thing you're doing, Mr. Mayor, so we appreciate that, and we have to take that in terms of a resolution and move that along in concerning a vote. And that's in the amount of $63,000 plus a few hundred here and there. Are there any questions from the council? I would like to entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion that we approve the 2019 Community Development CARES Act Fund Amendment, moving the money to the food bank program.
All right, we have a motion on the floor.
So I moved.
Oh, you had a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Oh, well, she was kind of trying to first.
Oh, I don't care.
All right, we have a first, a second on that motion. Debbie, you can figure that one out.
Give it to Michelle.
Give it to Michelle.
Love that one over there.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 5.
Did we vote?
We did that.
Did we vote? We didn't vote.
I'm sorry, let's vote on that, I'm sorry. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Any against, any abstentions? Unanimous. Now we're moving on to agenda item number 5. This is a consideration of a resolution requesting an amendment, and this is to the Sterling Act, to require that to 1% of the Philadelphia's wage tax paid by non-residents of Philadelphia be remitted to the municipality in which the taxpayer resides. Excuse me. Now, as you may know, Philadelphia has a wage tax, which is I don't have it in front of me, but it's like 4.3%, something like that.
3.4 for non-residents
For non-residents.
Yes.
of Philadelphia, yes.
Okay, I'm just talking the total, but the total was 4, is that correct?
That's for residential.
Right, okay. All right, that being said, the mayor proposed this quite some time ago, that he feels that residents in Bensalem, instead of giving all the money to Philadelphia, what's table? Oh, okay, I'll get there, okay, I understand, okay. I'm off cue tonight, right? I'm sorry, you interrupted me, I forgot where I was now, to tell you the truth. So we're talking about the earned income tax versus the wage tax. Philadelphia has the wage tax, and, which is, would end up being $2.4 million. I was going to read it, but it's $2.4 million would come back to Bensalem if this resolution is passed by the council. And it's a resolution requesting the State House to vote on this proposal. The State Senate has already voted in positive for this resolution to bring the money back to different municipalities surrounding Philadelphia area. And it actually was initiated, as I started to say, by the mayor about a year ago, maybe longer than that.
3 years ago?
Well, a few years ago.
Remember we put the signs up all over Bensalem, 4x8 signs.
2019, I think you did it.
That's about 6 years ago.
Okay, well, I know it was some time ago.
Yeah.
He's ageless, so I can't relate to the times.
Actually, Mr. President, I testified in front of the Senate committee on this, and they passed it in the Senate. So this is asking now to go to the House as you described. So
Right.
this is very important to Bensalem, as you know, 2.4 million that we don't get every
It's
year.
not
And we
additional.
are the largest ones of all of the surrounding Philadelphia area that loses most of the people. We have 3,800 people that work in Philadelphia from Bensalem, so you can see that that's the,
But it's not an additional tax.
oh, gosh, no.
No, so just people don't realize, it's not an additional, so it would be a portion of what you're taxed in Philadelphia comes back to
Exactly.
Bensalem.
Like every other town in the state, that comes back to the town that has the act. And Philadelphia, since 1934, this act has been in place. So we're trying to get that changed, and hopefully we can get that
That would be
done.
the
So
next agenda item. So
it's been a long, long time in the making, so we'll see.
All right, so that's what we're doing. I have a question on, does anybody have a question? I have a question on one particular paragraph that I just can't seem to comprehend, and I don't know why. I talked to Mr. Pizzo regarding this, and I'm going to read it. And it says, whereas Bensalem Township residents who do not work in the city of Philadelphia bear a higher tax burden to support local services because of the inequities caused by the provisions of the Sterling Act. So it says, it's referring to Bensalem Township residents who do not work in the city of Philadelphia bear a higher burden. I think it should read, and I can't understand why it's not that way, that it should read, who work in Philadelphia.
No, I think what they're saying is, what I agree with the point is that since we're losing $2.4 million of people who work in Philadelphia, then the people who don't work in Philadelphia have to maintain a tax base
Exactly.
that's higher because we're losing $2.4 million. It's a little, everybody else who doesn't work in Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is shorting the township $2.4 million, they're saying that we have to make that up somehow. And making that up gets spread about everybody else who doesn't work in Philadelphia.
Right,
And the people who also pay.
Essentially capturing the 2.4 million back into our community so that our residents don't have to bear the burden of it. That's really what it is. And just so that we know, this is a coordinated effort with Bucks County Association of Township Officials. A lot of the counties, townships surrounding Philadelphia are making this effort together in order to present this.
All right, I'll go along with you, but again, I'll never understand why it says township residents who do not work in the city of Philadelphia have a higher tax burden. It just doesn't make sense to me, to be
Well, we're
honest.
paying the 1%
Right.
towards the township, and all that 1% is staying in Philadelphia.
Right.
So we're paying 1% to Bensalem.
And if we increased our income on the income side of 2.4 million if this passes, then the burden will be less for everybody who lives in township,
For
taxpayer
services, it'll
wise.
help us with our services and all.
Yeah, I understand all that stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm referring to this one particular sentence, which, again,
Makes sense to me.
it doesn't make sense to me. It will never make sense to me. Okay. That's why I have different opinions and different interpretations, and I must say the solicitor agrees with everyone else.
If I might add, since you acknowledged me, Mr. Kisselback, that as you stated, Mayor DiGirolamo in particular, but all the members of the township government have been lobbying for some time to try and address this particular, several facets of the Philadelphia wage tax and the Sterling Act, but in particular trying to get the 1% back to Bensalem and other home municipalities. Again, so that the public understands where we are in the process. It's a process that has reached a dead end at every pass for a number of years. As the mayor said, he testified before a Senate committee about 2 months ago on the matter, along with a number of other elected and appointed officials from within Bucks County. And fortunately, the Senate passed a bill last month, a bill that was introduced by Senator Farry, our new senator here in Bensalem. And that bill would have the 1% of the wage tax that's paid by Bensalem residents to Philadelphia come back to Bensalem. It's a tremendous step in the right direction, but as the resolution notes and as the mayor noted, it would still require the approval of the State House, and if the State House concurs, it will require the concurrence of the governor. So both of those steps still have to be taken. If council elects to adopt this resolution this evening, one of the things that residents of the township can do is reach out to members of the House and members of and to the governor's office and express your support for this change to the wage tax and the Sterling Act, so that upwards of $2 million a year that leave this township every year and go into Philadelphia would come back to Bensalem.
Mr. Pizzo, the one thing I find interesting, we have attached, you guys don't have it. It says that the Sterling Act was adopted in Pennsylvania in 1932. I'm not reading the exact thing. But it made sense in 1932 when the surrounding counties were mostly farmland with few municipal services. However, much has changed in the suburbs since the 1930s. We all well know that Bensalem probably had 1,000, 1,500 people in the 1930s. It went up to 2,000, and now we're at 60,000, so some odd. So it definitely has changed, and that trying to get through the Depression 100 years ago or 90 years ago doesn't make sense to have that same tax on our people when we're providing so much to all of our residents that we want to continue to provide.
Just for perception, there are about 45 municipalities listed in Bucks County, totaling $9 million back into Bucks County, and 2.4 of that is just Bensalem.
I should have read the whole thing.
So,
Sorry, did I interrupt your thing?
No, you didn't interrupt my thing.
I like numbers.
Okay, at that point, we know what's happening, and I'm going to ask for a motion. Is there any other additional questions from council members? If not, ask for a motion to be put on the floor.
I'd like to make the motion for consideration of a resolution requesting an amendment to the Sterling Act to require that up to 1% of Philadelphia wage tax paid by non-residents of Philadelphia be remitted to the municipality in which the taxpayer resides.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion on the floor, second on the motion. Any additional discussion? Not hearing any. Those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
And against? Any abstentions? That is unanimous. And from here, it just keeps on going up the ladder to higher jurisdiction, which is the state representatives, which would be Casey Thomason. You want to call her office in Bensalem? That would be appreciated. Okay, now we have agenda items that are following through that are going to be tabled. And I'm going to ask Mr. Pizzo if he'd be kind enough to tell us, out of our several next agenda items, what is going to be tabled, and we're going to, at that point, either make a motion to a date certain, or whatever you would suggest.
For items number 6 and 7, which are the preliminary and final subdivision and the Act 537 plan amendment for Gibson Holdings, 1515 Gibson Road, the applicant has requested that the matter be tabled to a date certain of your second meeting in June, which I believe to be June 26. If council is of a mind, a motion tabling both items to that date certain would be appropriate.
So move. Second.
Motion on the floor, second on the motion to table. All those in favor signify with an eye. Aye. And did you give us a date, Joe? I wasn't.
June 26, I believe, is the fourth Monday.
Yes, okay. All right, 6 and 7, and then we have on to agenda.
Item 8, I'm not sure it is on. Okay, there was some confusion coming into this evening's meeting whether or not that item was going to be tabled, but it appears that the applicant is present. Item 9, which is preliminary and final land development for Shack's Express Cargo at Winks and Marshall Lane. Council representing the developer has asked that the matter be tabled to a date certain of your first meeting in June, June 12th.
That was originally what Mr. Polari proposed, as I recall. June 12th. Yeah, so I don't even know how it got on the agenda.
I don't necessarily disagree, but in any
I know
event,
you have- you're
it's
just
on the
reading-
agenda, so.
You're just a messenger, I understand. Okay, but that's what I do recall, that it was, the original date was, that's what he had proposed was June 12th, so that's where they're going to go, and where they should be anyway. And they're supposed to give us some information. I haven't seen anything come across our desk. Phil, are you aware of anything on that? Okay. What's that? Well, yeah, I mean, we had a motion already, but I guess so. For what?
Yeah, we did that, yeah.
We did that, yeah. Okay, I'll ask for a motion to be put on the floor then to move agenda item number 9 to June the 12th.
Also moved.
All those in favor? Aye. And against, abstentions, unanimous. Okay, so that's the only 2 items then, or 3 items, I should say.
The only other thing I would mention is item 11, which is the proposed ordinance regarding mobile food vendors. That is on your agenda for discussion this evening. It has not yet been advertised for formal adoption, so following whatever direction council gives us this evening, it'll be advertised for your next meeting. But just so anyone's aware that it will not be formal action on it tonight.
Okay, well, there's a lot of reading on that, so maybe we'll just, it sounds good to me. All right, let's move on to agenda item number 10. 8. Back, oh, yeah, we have 8 back on, that's right. Number 8. All right, this is a consideration of it says a lot line change. Is that correct, Mr. Pizer? It's just a lot line change for tonight? You've talked to the,
It was a building that was built illegal, too.
yeah, I know, but I'm just going by what it says here. That's what I want to make sure.
I believe that this would be a continuation of the original hearing on the request or the application for a lot line change between 2 parcels on Crespo Lane, 1204 Crespo Lane, and 1206 Crespo Lane.
All right, so it is a lot line change, is that correct? That's what you're saying.
I believe so, yes, sir.
All right.
Wasn't there an addition put on that shouldn't have been put on?
There was, to my understanding, and I'll allow the engineers to expand or expound, that there is an issue regarding an addition that was built illegally. The addition encroaches across the property line between 1204 and 1206, which is what has precipitated the application for the lot line change.
Wasn't there an addition? And went back also? Wasn't there another addition that went back that was built illegally that wasn't approved? And don't we have
Yes.
to take that into consideration with everything we're doing too?
Yes. Let's hear from the attorney and see how far he's gotten along with this process. You know what we had requested, I'm sure you recall that, what our requests were, and see how far we can get along with this. And Mr. Pizer, you'll guide us along in terms of the legal presentation and what's appropriate and not. Okay, and you are?
Good evening, Council. Bryce McGuigan from Begley Carlin here on behalf of the applicant, Iftikhar Chaudhry. As Council recalled, we were before you approximately a month and a half to 2 months ago initially and we appreciate your time and patience in having us back again. To briefly recount,
Bless you.
Bless you. To briefly recount, as council correctly observed, this involves the building of an addition on my client's property at 1206 Crespo Lane. Initially, permits were pulled, but the addition wasn't built pursuant to the permits. It was built too large to the side and to the rear. It was built so large that it, in fact, intruded upon setbacks, and larger than that, it went over the property line between 1206 and 1204 Crespo Lane. As a result of that, the owner of 1206, the applicant here today, Dr. Chaudhry, he approached his aunt and uncle who lived next door to see if they would work with him in order to propose a lot line change in order to allow him to at least keep some of the addition. Went to zoning, were not approved at zoning, so we went back to the drawing board, and what we're proposing today is to remove the rear 10-foot portion of the addition that was misbuilt, that was built too large, maintain what was built on the side, propose a lot line change that would result in the property being conforming from a zoning perspective and result in 2 conforming lots. When we were before the council last time, obviously there were a number of concerns raised. You know, this is not your standard project because there was we tried to be, I think, if I was not clear on this, I want to be. We screwed up. We made multiple mistakes and we didn't catch it, and our contractor didn't catch it, and that's why we're here, and that's why we've put the township through this. It was our fault, not the township's fault. And I know that was a big issue we were discussing, is kind of how does this happen. Following that, I know council also had some concerns over whether the neighboring property owner was in favor of this, whether they were going to be a party to this application. So since our last hearing, recently I provided Mr. Pizzo with an authorization signed by the joint owners of the neighboring property, and I have here Dr. Sabat Farouk, who is the co-owner of 1204 Crespo Lane. They are in favor of this application, and obviously if council has questions of Dr. Farouk, she'll be more than happy to answer those and to confirm before you tonight that she's in favor of this project.
So regarding the lot line change, the neighbor that was in question is here this evening. So you want to bring him up so he can testify the fact that he's in favor of that? So that's on our record, is that correct?
Yes, I'll happily do that for council. There were also a couple other issues that I want to mention briefly before I bring up Dr. Farouk. I know council also had concerns over the timeline of demolition, and that this has been going on for some time, and that, hey, we can't continue forever. And we agree 100%. And you know what I would say is this has been going on for a while, this whole process, and the property has, to be candid, it does not look great because it's in the middle of construction, so it's not right for the neighbors. And I know that even with those practical issues sitting there, that's not sufficient. So what we did in order to address council's issue, attempt to address it, that we will be moving forward promptly, is Jim's office has already submitted a demolition permit application to the township for building and planning's consideration. They've responded that we need to provide some certifications by an electrician, plumber, and to some rodent remediation or treatment efforts. So once we supply those, then they'll be able to formally review the permit application, and we can move forward with that process, which again, any potential relief here tonight, we would just ask be conditioned on us moving forward with the demolition permits already submitted. Last, I know that council had some questions about the actual plan itself, and to try to make things clearer in terms of the existing lot line, the proposed lot line, setbacks, that sort of thing. So Jim's office prepared the rendering that you see before you. With the rendering that you're looking at is the existing plan. As you can see, the dwelling with the addition is shaded in blue stripes. You have what the setbacks should be. Jim, if you can move to the next slide for me.
Sure.
This slide shows what is proposed pursuant to the lot line change. The setback, the rear yard setback of 30 feet is delineated, it's clearly marked. The side yard setback is clearly marked. We're going to be removing the back 10 feet again to make that rear yard compliant. Both properties will be lot compliant with lot area, impervious, setbacks, everything. So at the end of the day, What we are proposing is a lot line change that will result in 2 zoning conforming lots, and the only waiver that we will be requesting is for, to show plan details within 400 feet of the property, and which I would respectfully submit, we're not proposing any changes to any area beyond the property. In fact, we're only proposing a reduction based on what's there now. Apart from that, there's no waivers, no variances, nothing of the sort.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Your client was given the okay and given the plans of what was approved, right? I understand that properly?
The initial permit?
Yeah, the initial permit.
Yes.
And we get the other, going on the other people's property, building the addition in the back. It's kind of upsetting because, everybody else is going to take things what properties are there, and it's going to make everything look completely different. If you're given the okay for plans to build an addition, and you turn around and you encroach on other people's property, you put an extra 10 feet on the building, to me, that just says, we're going to do what we want. And I don't think that that's correct or the way it should have been done. And I want to be clear on that.
I'd like to add to that also. As I recall, I understand you've applied for permits. It doesn't mean necessarily that you're actually going to do the work, does it?
So initially, permits were applied for the original structure, and when doing the work, they went well above and beyond what was permitted. Recently, the permits that have been applied for recently are the demolition permits too. That would, for what we're saying today, what we're presenting to this council, is that we'll be removing the back 10 feet of the building. The demolition permits are supporting exactly that. So if we do receive approvals, then at least our permit's already submitted and they're already in line to be reviewed, and that process is already moving forward.
Now, as I recall, I'll elaborate on this also. As I recall, I believe we requested some type of an escrow to, in good faith, let the township know that you're actually going to do the work, because your history so far is not that verifiable.
So I'm not sure.
I mean, just applying for the permits doesn't tell us anything, because you can next tomorrow say, well, we decided not to do the work.
So in escrow, I don't recall discussing escrow, but I'd be happy.
Well, we discussed it. I know that much.
That's not a problem. I mean, because like I said, I went out to the property a few weeks ago, and candidly, it was the first time I've been to the property.
Okay.
And I will tell you, I was surprised. I was surprised at the condition, because you still have the Tyrex tarping, some of it's coming off. It does not look attractive. And this is a nice neighborhood, and this house sticks out like a sore thumb. So this is something where, yes, they're...
But that's not the council's fault.
No, not at all. Again, all our fault here. I'm just saying that we have an interest in just moving this along so that our house doesn't look like a construction zone too.
So
I'm sorry, let me finish one to make sure, and then you can take it from there. So to make sure, what you just said, you are willing, if we approve this, to put up an escrow decided by I guess it would be our engineer and our solicitor confirming that. Is that correct? Is that what you just said?
An escrow to ensure the completion of the construction.
The demolition
Demolition? Sure.
and the building, and the building up of the back of the building, so it's appropriately continuous with the same neighbors, the same type of lookums, is what I'm saying.
But that would be acceptable to the applicant.
Your client will come up and agree to that, correct?
Yes, Dr. Chowdhury will.
Okay, Phil, go ahead.
Yeah, that would be like a PSA for the inspection portions of the project and a review of anything else that comes up with that, within that timeframe. This is still like a permit issue. So they would do a PSA for the township, which is similar to an escrow, the type of escrow that we're looking for. That's normally how we would handle it.
And you're fine with that?
Yes, fine with that, or escrow, whatever the financial arrangement that Mr. Farrell believes is with regard to the permits is just fine with us.
Mr. Pizzo, had you discussed this prior to Mr. McWiggin?
The specifics of an escrow for the demolition or
Yes,
this
correct.
application in general? No, I don't believe that, since your last council meeting, I don't believe, Mr. McGuigan and I have spoken, but I don't believe regarding an escrow.
Okay, and you're fine with that being presented this evening, and as Mr.
If that's what council
what's the
desires, and if the applicant's agreeable, it'll be done.
Well, we hope it will be done, that's our point.
Oh, the escrow will be done.
Okay. Yeah, okay, and Stacy, fine?
Well, my comment only really is, and I appreciate the fact we're trying to resolve this. It's been a year and a half, 2 years, I guess, since the project started.
Been, yeah, shade over a year, I believe.
The fact that, you know, it is an eyesore for a neighborhood, any neighborhood, whether it's, you know, Crespo Estates or Andalusia or Eddington, any applicant who goes over somebody else's property and then comes in and asks for a lot line change, to me is, are we just going, I feel like we're setting a precedent that if somebody does something wrong, just come in and fix it by this. So, and I understand everything is within all the variances, you have the land. It bothers me that this was done wrong from the get-go. And if it was in any other neighborhood, we probably would make them tear it down. So that's my concern, is that we've allowed this to go on, and I appreciate the fact it's being corrected, but the fact that it started to begin with without knowing, or whatever the reason may be, is not how Bensalem works.
Yeah, and
Yeah, and if I recall, our last meeting, the instruction was specifically demo the addition, get the agreement in writing, present to us, come back at that time. I don't know why we're talking about escrow.
well,
It should be done.
if I may, the reason why it would be difficult to do the demolition first before receiving any approvals is it really depends what type of demolition we'd be doing, depending on what approvals we receive or don't receive. If we receive this approval, then the back 10 feet, that's gone. But if we don't, then we'll have to look into options, including demoing more of the addition. And when we're demolishing this, what we also are going to have to do in conjunction with that is apply for a building permit in order to rectify what's there now and to ensure that's safe and stable. So that would obviously change depending on whether the lot line change is granted and depending on how the side of the addition is going to work. So the fact that we haven't moved forward with that, it's not a lack of intent. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think I can speak for the Chaudhrys in saying that they'd love to demo this and move forward and actually make this look more like a house. It's just right now they're kind of in a bit of limbo. And again, their own self-created, or our self-created limbo. We understand that. But that's kind of the situation.
Okay, I'll give my personal view. I agree with what all the council people are saying this evening. We're not happy. I would rely on our solicitor to make sure that this happens in any kind of legal way that he possibly can and would, protecting the township and moving this project on so we can expedite it so it's finalized. Joseph, I'm going to ask for your suggestion at this time.
Well, I don't know that I have any additional suggestions beyond that which has been discussed. If council is collectively of a mind to grant the lot line change, then it'll be conditioned upon the applicant posting with the township sufficient escrow as determined by the township engineer and the director of building and planning to cover the costs associated with the demolition of the non-conforming portions of the addition that was constructed on the property. Beyond that, new deeds will be required for the two newly created lots. Those deeds will have to be reviewed and approved by the township solicitor and the township engineer, and those will have to be recorded contemporaneously with the record plan for the lot line change.
Mr. Kaiser, shouldn't we have that now? Especially with what we're looking at and what's happened and we're going to approve it, and then what's next? I mean, shouldn't we have all that here now? So it's approving what, and not depending on, well, if we get to it, we get to it. I just don't understand.
Well, the deeds, the township routinely would accept after the fact, once the plan's approved. The engineers and the attorneys would prepare them and review them. As to what you want in place as a condition of approval, prior to approving this, if you want to see the terms of the escrow agreement and the timeline for what it is that you want to take place, then I assume Mr. McGuigan and I can hammer something out between now and council's next meeting.
The only thing is, I'd like to get this where the neighbors on that street don't have to look at this anymore and get it done sooner than later. If we have the escrows there to make sure it gets done, we should be okay. Now, is the letter from the neighbor, the aunt and uncle, that notarized letter that they gave you, is that sufficient to say that they definitely are okay with the lot change?
Well, it's not a notarized letter, it's a letter, it's a copy of a letter.
Okay.
However, Mr. McGuigan is representing to the township that one of the signatories to that agreement is, or Dr. Farouk is here today, and she can confirm for council everything that's
Right,
in
that's what I was asking, whether it would be
in the-
necessary to
in
do
the
that
letter.
per the letter.
We should probably still, as a matter of housekeeping, have Dr., and I believe Dr. and Dr. Farouk, is that correct? As part of the application, but with Dr. Farouk being present to at least confirm the concurrence of the property owners at 1204 Crespo Lane to what's happening. That's at least enough, in my opinion, to get the ball moving. Again, Bryce and I, between now and your next meeting, can put together the agreement. The application for lot line change can be amended and resubmitted to the township. The application for the demolition permit is already into the township, and the things that need to happen to move that along in terms of getting the certifications from the various utilities that are necessary for that. Those things can happen with or without council acting tonight. So I leave it again up to council what your level of comfort is based on the history of how we've gotten to this point. Whether 2 more weeks is material or not, again, I'll leave to everyone. It's obviously a condition that's existed for some time. So I don't know that 2 more weeks do or don't make a difference. That's outside of my purview.
My interpretation, Joe, is, and I'm presenting this to you, but since you make the presentation to me, but my interpretation is that you actually did the minimum amount of things that you had to do to be in front of us this evening. I mean, you really didn't satisfy my curiosity as to what I had thought you were going to bring back to us. And I'm very cautious of allowing you to move on until you have that escrow actually in place in the township. And as Mr. Pizzo just said, you can continue on proceeding with the process, with the permits and different activities that you need to do there. But I need to see something tangible, at least I do anyway. I don't know if the other council members, they may have a different opinion, which is to have that escrow in place in the township coffer so we know that it's going to be done and you're going to expedite it and have a timetable when you're going to do it. That's what I think,
Right,
anyway.
that should be done before the rest of the other thing is
Yes.
done.
With an inspection process.
Well, as part of any approval condition, if council wants to stage it so that the escrow must be established within X amount of days, first thing first, we'll do that. That's not a problem. We'll do that first and foremost. I think, I speaking for my clients where I say that we're interested in moving this along as quickly as we can, and I think unfortunately, we've dealt with this for a while again, not throwing no blame on that one.
So,
But-
excuse me, so, Joe, our obligation would be just to approve the lot line change, is that correct?
That's all that is technically in front of you in terms of what it is you're being asked to either approve or deny. The
Correct.
remaining portions of that are conditions that are ancillary, accessory, whatever word you want to use, to that approval. But the approval is whether that line is going to be there or where it currently exists. All the other facets of what we're talking about go into that decision, but that ultimately is the decision you're making.
Okay.
So I have one question. We do approve this tonight with conditions or without the conditions and say it does not happen, say the demolition doesn't happen. And then they need a variance, then they go back in front of zoning because they'll be found in violation. Would that be an accurate statement with that extra 10 feet?
Correct. If you approve this evening, or whatever point in time you approve, it's approved. One of the conditions to that approval is the posting of the escrow, so that if the demolition doesn't take place within whatever timeline it is that we're going to, Mr. McGuigan and I are going to put into the agreement, then the township uses that escrow money to knock down the portion of the addition that was built illegally, and is going to be removed. So that's what the escrow does. The escrow is there to, if the applicant doesn't, then the township has the money there to do it.
Because if not, they'd be in violation, both the escrow, the agreement with us tonight and/or our zoning. Because they
Yes,
would need a variance.
correct.
So in your court, if you were to put the escrow up, which is, we're going to ask you to do, I believe, from this council's, what I see this evening, it would be to your advantage then to move in an expedient manner so you can move along, and that would help us accept the situation as to where it is.
How do we know what the escrow is going to be when we don't know how much it's going to cost to knock down the other building? I mean, I think we're putting the cart before the horse. We made a point about this at the last hearing, and you've come with nothing other than give us the lot line change, and we'll take it down. You've given us no cost factors of what it's going to be taken, no timeline of what it's going to be. And, excuse me, with this the way it is here and what was done, I don't have the faith that that extra addition is going to be knocked down and we're going to go to zoning, as Ms. Champion said, and, we're going to have issues here. And we can't let that happen. This should have all been prepared ahead of time. Escrow should have been decided ahead of time. We talked about that, like Mr. Kisselback said at the last meeting. Nothing's happened. The addition's still sitting there. Nothing's been done to take the back addition down. The side addition, we know that has to do with the lot line change. I just don't see anything on your client's behalf showing us that they're going to do this.
I concur.
Well, if I may, we started the process. We submitted the demolition permit application approximately 2 weeks after our last meeting. And that's currently in building and planning, and the review process is ongoing, and we need to supplement that with a few other items, which we're in the process of doing. But until we have a decision one way or the other, we can't really move further and put shovels in the ground or anything like that.
Do you
And
have a quote for the demolition?
I don't have a quote with me right now.
So we
I do
put
not.
permits in without talking to contractors to get a quote? I think that was one of the things, how much would it cost to do the demolition on the 10 feet? I think that was one of the questions when we spoke last time, was does anybody have an idea of how much it would cost to, now, I know it's not going to be exact, it can go up and down based upon what needs to be done structurally or what have you, but has that been done in terms of going out to get quotes when you did your permits?
So my client is in the process of doing that. He's also in the process, he's spoken to architects, retained an architect to prepare actual building plans for the building permit part of this to make sure that what's left is structurally sufficient.
So wait a
which-
minute, so you went for permits, but you didn't have all of the documentation for the permit? I'm confused now.
The demolition permit isn't, but as part of that, we're going to have to submit construction permits for what's there, what's going to remain. So it's kind of going to be multiple permits. So we've started that process. Now, obviously, we can't put shovels in the ground and do anything more until
Shovels in the ground for what? It's already built.
to demolish it. Because it seems like
You don't need a shovel in the ground to demolish it.
I'm an attorney,
I understand.
Mr.
I understand
Lawyer or
that. What, you're coming in and you're going in circles here, but not giving us the information we need and a timeline that we need to be able to say, okay, lot line change is fine, we'll do that, no problem. You know, when's the building being knocked down? We need an escrow, what's the cost on that? You're asking us to do this based upon just a lot line change. I'm not willing to do that without having an agreed permit from building and planning, knowing what the cost factors are gonna be, having that escrow set up. I mean, if we can't do all that, there's no way that I myself could even begin to say yes to this.
Well, part of it too is going through all of that when council could very readily deny this project and we have to redo it all to do a different demolition permit, different building permits. Right now, things are up in the air because, frankly, I'm not sure what council's going to do with this.
If the back of that building was not covered by us giving you a permission to make it at least weather resistant, and it was raining inside your building, would you expedite the process to take that building down and get a new one built up?
So if it were not weatherproof,
Yes.
I would say we would expedite the process no matter what.
Well, it doesn't seem like you're expediting anything. I mean, everyone's saying the same thing.
I think it was March 27th, you were last here,
Correct.
and so it's 6 weeks and 2 weeks after. But I don't see, if you came up and said, look, we went out and talked to 3 contractors for the demolition. We know we don't have the permit yet, but we've gotten 3 quotes without knowing the exacts of it, just to give us an eyeball, you know, a ballpark number. And I'm not hearing any of that. I've not heard that once about the cost of what it's going to take to demolish at least the 10 feet. We're not as concerned about the side. You seem to be focusing on that side yard, if it has to be demolished, that side addition.
Yes.
We're talking about that 10-foot addition, which we're asking in good faith to have some more information on in terms of how much would it cost to demolish it. You've gone through put the permits in. And to put permits in, if I'm not mistaken, we have to put in costs. Correct? Am I mistaken?
And you said there's more stuff
We don't have
that
to?
they need.
I thought when I put an addition on.
I don't know for a demolition permit.
For demolition, we don't,
Yeah.
okay. I know for an addition, you do need to put cost in.
No,
Or when
yeah,
you're doing.
of course.
So that's why I'm feeling very, as frustrated as everybody else is. We asked last time, how much would it cost for the 10-feet portion, what is that demolition cost? So we understand whether we have an escrow for 100% of it, or 10%, or 50%. At least in our mind, we know how much it's going to cost your client to do a demolition.
Sure. And so if council, from what I understand, we were talking about obviously a condition with some sort of escrow, and that would be conditioned on the township engineer, whatever escrow amount they determine. And we'll have Jim here, who will obviously talk to Phil, get their heads together, and whatever number they agree to, that's fine. We'll go with that. What we have focused more on, to be candid, is trying to retain an architect, because before we can tear down the 10 feet, we have to make sure that the remainder is structurally sufficient in order to still remain,
But the
or
rest
still
of the
exist.
structure was approved, the addition wasn't, so why does one
the-
have anything to do with the other?
Well, the addition was approved. It
The
just
10
wasn't.
feet?
It was not built into the. Well, the point is, when we can't just lop off the 10 feet. You got to make sure what's there will be safe and be structurally sufficient. So we've.
Let me say this to you, if you were to bring this in front of us, the way it is now, and get turned down, what's the difference between doing what we're asking you to do and come back with all the information and satisfy what we're asking for, and then have a good chance of getting it approved? I just don't understand that. You're asking us to approve something without having the answers to our questions about the 10. The big stickler here is that 10-foot, extra 10 foot that was put on the back. And you're not giving us any more information. You're not guaranteeing, you can't guarantee us anything. You want the lot line changed so you can finish that part of it. We want all the information. You're asking us to do something here that we're willing to do, but give us all the information.
And I would hate to ask another favor of council here, but if council would be so inclined to table this matter perhaps until June to allow us to get this particular information, get an actual quote, talk to the township engineer, get the escrow set up, get the draft PSA put together. So that way, if council would be inclined to consider this matter.
This is a good idea.
Joe, do you
Yeah,
need
I'd
additional
say
time?
I'm happy with that, but I would like the Chaudrys to come up and speak if that's, since they're here.
Farouk's.
Or Farouk,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mr.
Dr. Farouk.
Paiso, do you need an additional time on this if we are to take it into June?
Quickly as I receive it, I'll turn it around.
Okay.
We do need, you're the neighbor, who,
Yeah, sure.
to testify that they approve the lot line change, so that's on record. We
Yeah.
talked about that in the very beginning.
More than happy to
We
do that.
do need that.
Dr. Fruit, do you mind coming up for a moment?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Dr. Fruit, do you introduce yourself to council and let them know where you live?
I'm Sabahat Farouk, and I live at 1204 Crespo Lane.
All right, and Dr. Farouk, you know that we're here today regarding the lot line change
Yes.
between your home and 1206 Crespo
Yeah.
Lane, is that right?
Yes,
Have you heard of this project before?
yes.
Yeah, and you've lived with this half-completed addition next to you for some time now, is that right?
2 years, more than 2 years now.
And you understand that if this lot line change were to be approved,
Mm-hmm.
then your property's lot line between 1204 and 1206 would be changed, is that right?
Yes,
And you're agreeable to this?
yes, I 100%.
And you will also understand that as part of this process, your lot's going to be zoning conforming, so's Dr. Chaudhry's lot, but we're going to have to do new deeds, and you and your husband will have to sign a new deed, and we'll have to record that with the county. You understand that?
Yes,
All right, and you're giving your authorization and your approval for Dr. Chaudhry to proceed forward with this, which could have implications on the size and shape of your property, is that right?
yes, I understand.
All right, well, I thank you very much
You're
for being
welcome.
here, and obviously, if council has any questions, I'm sure you could probably answer those, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
I
thank you
just
very much.
want to know, what's the reduction in her property size?
I think Jim can help with that.
It's 1,000 square feet, 900 square feet.
No.
900 square feet?
Looking at the,
For the record, thank you.
And the question I would have, you have seen the new proposed lot line change, and that's what you were approving, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you very much, Dr.
No
Farouk.
problem, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what date do we need in June to do this?
She did.
What's that?
So she's not the only owner of the property, correct?
her
No,
husband.
Dr. Farouk's husband is also a co-owner.
And he's present?
He is not present, but he also did sign the authorization.
Signed a letter, though.
He signed an unnotarized letter.
Dr. Farouk, what Dr. Farouk represented this evening will be fine if we are in fact tabling this.
Okay.
Again, that'll give the opportunity to add the Farouks to the application, so that'll take care of that bit of housekeeping. In the meantime, Dr. Farouk did take time out of her evening to be here, which I understand was a last-minute accommodation that she made, so I certainly wanted to afford her the opportunity to come up and verify for the council that you were aware and that you were in concurrence with what's happening, because that was a question that everyone had at the last hearing. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we continue this to the 26th of June, since they've got the holiday and everything in there to give you the time to get the things that you need to get done and get everything together and get it approved by Building and Planning and Mr. Paiso. Let's do this the right way, let's get it in, let's get it done.
to include quotes for demolition, to include the escrow amount, to include a notarized letter,
Yeah, they're all the things that we've discussed.
and what else? Did we miss anything?
We're permits for the that you applied for
The demolition permits, the
and that-
status
Got
of,
the supplemental submissions.
Right, so
for
you-
demolition.
yes,
Bill, you got,
In
you got,
place.
you
It's
got
going
all
to be
this
in
then, right?
place.
and the and the escrow to be in place.
And that's going to be in place, yes. Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to table to a date certain of June the 26th. 20,
And you'll give Mr. Pizzo the
That's my
extent,
birthday,
any extension that he needs
And-
for.
Any MPC extensions, the applicant will gladly
all
provide.
right, please, we would like to move along with you and work with you, but you have to work with us too. And all we're trying to do is help you as best as we can. And if you talk to Mr. Pizzo, I mean, if you have any questions, he can guide you along and tell you what we need and have it ready to go. And you have plenty of time to do it, Bryce.
And we appreciate council's assistance and flexibility.
And we
Thank you.
appreciate your presentation to us and just put it all together for us, okay?
Will do.
Thank you. A
Congratulations
motion on the
your
floor?
marriage, too, by the way.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor? Aye. And against, any abstentions? It's unanimous.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, council.
Okay. It's in my dreams. If only in my dreams. Okay. I'm sure this has convinced all you scouts never to run for political office. Yeah, really.
It was fun. They got to see some interesting government at work.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 10. This should be another exciting one. This is a good thing, in my opinion. And we'll move on to agenda item number 10, which is a consideration of a preliminary and final land development, as well as a lot line change to the applicant of Delaware Valley Residential Care. The address is 875 Mill Road, Medical Health Center. We brought the Army in here. And it's institutional, the zoning classification, the tax map parcel is 02-023-042. Yes, sir, and you can introduce yourself to us, as if we don't know
Good
who
evening,
you are.
Council. Mike McGinnis from Begley Carlin here tonight on behalf of Delaware Valley Residential Care, or DVRC, as we will be referring to them tonight. On my end, I have Eric Clace with me from Gilmore & Associates, and I also have Jess Walker from DVRC, who are planning to have addressed council momentarily. DVRC are the equitable owners of a portion of 875 Mill Road. The property is zoned in the institutional district in the township, and just to provide a brief bit of background procedurally, we went to the zoning hearing board and secured approval for a special exception. Our use is permitted, but again, it's permitted via special exception, which we obtained. The underlying property is approximately 15 acres, and we are acquiring approximately 8 acres of the underlying site, and St. Valentine's Church will retain ownership of the balance. I don't want to speak on behalf of the church. I think there are some representatives of St. Valentine's who are here, but my understanding is that the church had been approached over the years for a number of different uses to develop the site. They've been dealing with some financial hardships and found DVRC and thought that DVRC's use and DVRC's ethos was a good fit with the church and the church's mission. I would like to say at the beginning, we have, because of the variety of meetings that we've attended, the zoning hearing board, the planning commission, and now council, we've had to provide a number of notices, I think over 100 properties of this project. And I want to commend sincerely the community that Bensalem has on Walnut in particular. Whenever there is a potential project where you are taking what was previously essentially 15 acres of undisturbed, undeveloped land, and you're proposing to develop most of 8 acres of the site, people are naturally going to have some concerns because it's their backyard. And almost to a man and woman, every person that we've had the opportunity to interface with on Walnut has treated us with an incredible amount of grace and respect, and they've been very receptive to the meetings that we've had and the communication that we've had with them. And I think, speaking for DVRC's team, that has encouraged them to look forward to the number of great neighbors that they're going to have in the Bensalem community if this project is approved. DVRC provides services exclusively to individuals with traumatic and acquired brain injuries. So these are people in our community, for example, who have been in car accidents or in the military and have been wounded in combat or experienced other life-changing events and candidly need help. This is a heavily screened, non-violent operation. There's not a single patient on DVRC's end who drives an automobile. Our effort, DVRC's mission statement, in fact, is to integrate their residents into the community wherever possible. For example, to work at a local grocer if you have a higher functioning member. You can imagine with traumatic brain injuries, you have a spectrum of individuals, some of whom need a significant amount of assistance and some of whom are able to seek employment if possible. But these individuals, if and when they are to leave this property, would have DVRC aides along with them. So people who would be residing here, although we want to integrate them both from an employment standpoint if we can and to really patronize local businesses. I have a movie night at the mall. They leave the site with other DVRC staff members. You'll see on the plan, which is in front of you, the site is secured. There is a gate, security outpost at the entrance from Mill. But as we've discussed in the many meetings that we've had, the security that we have on site is as much about protecting the residents, the patients of DVRC as it is the community. We obviously, again, want to make sure that nobody leaves the site, but we also want to make sure, because we have some vulnerable individuals, that people aren't freely getting access to the property. Eric Clace, as I indicated at the beginning, is going to do a walkthrough of the site plan momentarily, but just from a big picture level, you will see on the plan there are 5 separate residential buildings with a community center. Jess, on DVRC's end, will provide some context about what happens in the community center and the composition of the residential units, but broadly speaking, there are 6 units in each of the buildings with 3 rooms per unit. So in total, there are 90 beds on the site. Each of the units are staffed when they're occupied by DVRC employees. I think it's important to note that this is not a theoretical operation. DVRC, just in Bucks County, has a successful operation in Warminster, and as far as I'm aware, DVRC has absolutely no issues with the township, with the neighbors, with other business owners, and I will say, for any of you who have had the opportunity to visit the site, you may have recognized that there is a rather large residential community adjacent to that property. I visited it myself. It is kept in a clean manner, very high standards of operation, and I'm sure that that is the mindset that DVRC is going to bring to Bensalem once the site is operational. DVRC is an owner-operator, so this is not a situation where council would approve the project and then DVRC is going to sell this to a third party. DVRC wants to be a long-standing member of the Bensalem community. And one of the offers that we made previously that I will explicitly reiterate to council is this property will be deed restricted, which means that this is going to be for individuals with traumatic brain injuries. So there's not a concern, even setting aside zoning, because we're aware that underlying zoning designations can change. It's not a situation where this is going to be sold to a residential apartment operator in the future. It will be explicitly deed restricted. We are happy to market this first and foremost to Bensalem residents, members of the Bensalem community. who have family members with acquired and traumatic brain injuries. We will be adding a good number of, I think, positive, high-paying jobs in many respects to the Bensalem community. And again, just like the patients will be marketed to Bensalem, so will those jobs first and foremost be marketed to Bensalem. From a site layout standpoint, one of the items that we highlighted with the residents at the beginning is the access, as you can see, is not off of Walnut Avenue. Walnut is the heavily residential portion of the township. For those of you, I'm sure, familiar with Mill Road, Mill has a bit more of an industrial component to it, so we wanted to illustrate to the residents that obviously traffic is going to be primarily directed and the sole point of ingress and egress is going to be off Mill. We are going to be maintaining the screening and planning on site, and I will note, and I'm sure we'll cover this in the review letter in a second, there is not just going to be an improvement of the stormwater management on site. If you look at the actual numbers in TPD's review, the improvement is substantial across every threshold from the 1 to the 100-year storm. So we think this is going to have a demonstrative positive impact on stormwater management in this area.
That's a big difference.
The last thing, this may not be appropriate on my end, but I'm going to share it anyway. Anecdotally, in a prior life, I was very involved in what we call the orphans court. So I had an active practice assisting people who needed guardianships, people who were struggling and weren't able to live independently, fully on their own end. And I saw through that practice what I'll classify as the extreme dire need, to be candid, of businesses and services precisely like that which DVRC offers. I've had the good fortune, I would say, to represent a number of businesses here who I've been proud to stand in front of council and advocate on behalf of, but it's hard to think of one that I think will have a more tangible, positive impact to our community than DVRC. I know they're excited about the potential to be in Bensalem, and I appreciate, I think, the warmness and the enthusiasm that we've been met with on Bensalem's end to date. And this is, again, I am absolutely convinced, a group that is going to be an extreme positive asset to Bensalem once this site is hopefully approved and constructed. So with that, I appreciate your indulgence at the outset. I'm going to turn the floor over to Jess Walker on DVRC's end. She's going to give you a bit more information about who DVRC is, and then I'll turn the floor over to Eric Clace with Gilmore, and we'll discuss the couple waivers that we have. So thank you as always.
Good evening.
And again, what is your name? I'm sorry.
Jessica.
Jessica.
Yes. I'm Jessica. I'm the Director of Admissions for DVRC. So I am basically the first face that our families see when they are looking into our program. As Mike mentioned, we do specialize in a residential program that is only focused on the traumatic brain injured. This could also include acquired brain injuries, such as a stroke. So it does not have to be a traumatic event. It could be something as simple as a stroke that has set them back from living on their own. I think we can probably all think of our own family or life situations. It's more common than not. When families come to us, they are looking for a solution. Either they may be faced with having to stop work to care for this individual, or maybe they are declining themselves. So we are the answer to provide the most independent living that these individuals can do with supervision from our staff. Our screening process that Mike mentioned, it is both medical and financial screening. So when a family does approach us with their loved one, we have to make sure that they fit our criteria medically, that being the traumatic brain injury or the acquired brain injury. Also, most of our individuals, they could do most things for themselves. Some people, you may see them on the street and not even realize that they do have a traumatic brain injury, but they do need some sort of assistance, okay? The financial side of things, we need to make sure that, either A, they could pay privately for us, or B, if they are Medicaid, then we have to make sure that they're under-resourced, they have funds to sustain themselves for the program. So there's a very critical component on both sides that we look at these individuals a lot. And Karen will come up shortly, but she can kind of attest to that it could take us months to decide on whether if somebody's going to come and stay at DVRC. There's a very long process of this. What does a day in the life of our resident look like? Mike had alluded to the 5 buildings that you have up on your screen. First, they're living quarters. There are 3 rooms to each townhouse, and they would be the same sex, so it would be 3 males or 3 females. They are all private rooms, and then have like a little kitchenette area or a living area as well, washer and dryer. Again, we are promoting that level of independence as much as possible. Now, you may say, what about that kitchenette area? Just understand that we have that there for their therapies. It is disconnected and connected only by our staff. So they can't just go and start cooking on their own. This would be something that we provide all their meals, but they might be part of their therapies that they're working on. Okay, so nothing can be turned on by themselves. There's also the Day Hab Center. This is where a lot of the magic happens. We have tons of group therapies that are going on during the day. They might be working on money management. They might be working on cooking. They could be working on, okay, if I go shopping, how do I make my list? And then when I get to the store, what do I do? So we're talking about basic things that you and I do on a daily basis. We're working on those things with them. The other part of our program is community reintegration. That is a massive part of it. We take our residents with staff and we go out into the community. Something as simple as dining may be a challenge for them. They need to know how to count their money out. Do I have enough money for this? So we're taking what we're learning on site and applying it in real life situations out in the community. We're gonna frequent those local grocery stores and those local shops. We go out for barbecues to the park. There's a lot of stuff that we do that gives them those real life experiences to apply their newly learned skills. And again, I do want to say and reiterate what Mike said about the TBI and ABI diagnosis. That is an admission criteria for us. So if they do not have those diagnoses, then we would not admit them, just so you guys know that that is an admission criteria for us. And if you have any questions, I'd be willing to answer them.
Yeah, I don't know what that criteria is, so if you can elaborate on that.
Sure. So the admission criteria, so they have to meet both medical and financial. So the medical would include that TBI or ABI diagnosis. And then it's an area of they have to be able to do most things for themselves. So what I want you to understand is like somebody might just need some help transferring from their chair to their wheelchair or transferring from their chair to their bed. But if they are a full assist, that would not be appropriate for us. So they got to be able to do most things for themselves. Most people are walking. They might have an assisted device like a cane, and that's fine. And then the financial criteria is making sure that they qualify for whatever appropriate funding they may have. So if they are on Medicaid, they have to abide by Medicaid guidelines. If they are private pay, then they would have to make sure that they can meet that financial obligation of private pay. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
I had the opportunity to come to your facility
Great.
in Warminster, and I appreciate your staff making the time and the effort to give me the tour, show me the kitchen area where things
Perfect.
were shut off, working with the patients and things going. It made a big difference on how I felt about it, because these were all questions that I had. And for DVRC to take the time and allow me to come up there, tour the facility, see what was going on, it was first class, everything that was being done. The patients were safe, the staff was safe, everybody was doing
Absolutely.
exactly what you're saying, and that's why I wanted to speak up now, because
Yes.
everything you're saying, I got to see it firsthand. You know,
And that's
so-
probably the best compliment we could
and
receive.
to me, that made a big difference, because I don't know that I was fully on board in the beginning with this, but after seeing what you do, how you do it, and I have a lot of with special needs stuff with Special Olympics and things that I've done over the years, and seen everything with special needs kids.
Yeah.
Ones that are full functioning themselves, up to the ones that can't do anything for themselves. They can do it with the help.
Absolutely.
And to me, that is something that's very
Some need a little
important.
bit more than others, but with the proper help, it's amazing what some of them can really achieve.
I just want to make sure I thanked you for the time,
Absolutely.
your facility, the people, giving me the tour, showing me, answering all my questions, and it made a big difference to me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
No, I just have to agree with Mr. Polari there. The day we were up there, or I was up there with Mr. Knowles, the staff was very nice. The residents were very nice, and it was very clean, very well organized. And again, as Mr. Polari said, I don't want to say pleasantly surprised. I was very happy that it worked as I imagined it to be. So it was
We
good.
appreciate that.
It was a positive experience, and hopefully we can get more vets into this program because we do have so many veterans
Absolutely.
with these issues.
And we
so-
are contracted with the VA.
Thank you.
As Ms. Champion said, it's not only that. The federal government, the state government, the county government needs to start doing some things. We have so many police, fire, EMS, veterans that have PTSD. We're not doing anything to help them, and it really can be a danger to the community. We need to do more with this stuff. Hopefully, somebody will take the time. I don't know if that's something you guys could go to the state with, but it's something that needs to be done.
Absolutely. We are in agreement.
If I can, actually, before I turn it over to Eric, I think it would be really helpful for council to hear from Karen. She's can provide a personal experience, I think, to share about who DVRC is.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Trowick. I am a mother of a resident of DVRC. My son was 24 on his way home and was hit by a car and left. As you know, God saw fit, someone came along and found him. He was in the hospital for about 24 hours before they realized who he was or could figure out who he was. From that particular accident, Darren was hit so hard that he went up and came down, and his head was what was injured most. College-educated child, working, who, I'm sorry.
Just take your time.
I'm sorry about
We
that.
love your story, and just...
His life changed dramatically, but not only his life, but the family's life. Miss Jessica, I don't even know why she still tolerates me because, I mean, the phone calls, it is a process to get him in there. The place that they placed him, he was with 90-year-olds, you know, it was a nursing home, and not a very good nursing home. I wasn't able to provide for him at home because unfortunately I still have to work every day and other things were going on and I couldn't have taken care of him. Now Darren is walking and talking. However, Darren is college educated, like I said, in architect and design that he no longer remembers. DVRC, through the process, they helped me get financing. They explained what I needed to do. Jessica tolerated me calling her every other day to see if this worked, if that worked. We were online with Social Security, with whoever I needed to call. They knew my name by the time we finished the process. As you said, when they take you to the facility to see it, we were sold after that first meeting that this is where my son had to be. They take you, they make you feel at home. It's clean, it's neat. The calendars of events that they have, that they take the residents different places so that they're not just sitting there. And that's important to have functioning people be able to do normal things. Darren, of course, he always wants to come home, but he likes it there. He's safe, and the people there are safe. It's clean, they're safe, they have classes every day. Their doctors are on staff. They have clinic on staff. I mean, it's just a wonderful place, and it was an answer to a traumatic thing that happened to Darren, but to all of us, honestly. So I always thank DVRC, and they asked me to speak on their behalf, and I would do it in a heartbeat, because if you've ever been in a situation where you need someone to be a savior in your life or someone to take care of someone in your life that's important, DVRC was the answer for us. So thank you for listening to me. And is there any questions that you have about his care or anything?
No, God bless you and your
Thank you so
son.
much.
Good evening, Eric Clace from Gilmore and Associates. Our office prepared the plan for subdivision and land development. The site's zoned institutional. It's existing 15 acres. About an acre of the site goes away with the dedicated right-of-way. The northern section, which we're calling Lot 2, is the existing cemetery. That'll end up with about 6 acres. The southern half, which is the DVRC side, gets about 8 acres. As they said, there's 5 buildings, 6 units in each building. Each individual unit will have 3 people in it, either male or female. They're not both. Stormwater management-wise, we are capturing 100% of the impervious on site. We are directing it west towards Mill Road into a very large detention basin. As Mr. McGinnis said earlier, we're greatly reducing the runoff. It isn't just a minor reduction, it's dramatic. So we do capture the water in the basin, we take it to an existing pipe under Mill Road, and the water is directed across Mill Road.
Where's that basin at again?
If you're looking, let me see if I can move the mouse and it moves with me. The basin it starts here, goes to the west, wraps around, and then discharges across Mill Road.
Because it's
So
higher
this
in the back.
entire L here. That's the basin.
And it's an open basin?
Above ground, yes. With all the bells and whistles of what a rain garden would have these days. You put the plantings in there, you put the amended soil in there, the water goes in, it sits, it absorbs, it cools it off, it cleans it, and then it releases it at a very slow rate. Aside from that, we have 98 parking spaces. The maximum number of employees on site at any one given time is 75. So we meet the parking requirement. There are a few minor waivers that Mike will go through in a few minutes, but that's pretty much the gist of the site. Is there
Okay.
any questions for me as the engineer?
Well, we will have some as we go through the
Sounds good.
letters.
I have another gracious individual who'd like to speak briefly, and then we'll go through the review letter, Eric and I, with the waivers.
Hello, good evening, council. My name is Leanne Krotek. I work for Hilliard Incorporated, and we are a neighbor of DVRC's over in Warminster. And I have worked there for over 7 years, so I saw them actually building that facility, and I've been working out of that office ever since. We've never had any issues with them as neighbors or any issues with traffic, parking. They've been a welcome addition to our community. Any questions for me? Thank you.
All right, so we have reviewed TPD's both civil and traffic letter, as well as the Bucks County Planning Commission review letter. And I will say, actually, as one very quick housekeeping item, one of the waiver requests that was previously identified, specifically waiver in TPD's letter, waiver number 4, which is 201-106 A2A6, to permit grading within 3 feet of a site property line. In conversation with Mr. Clace, we can withdraw that waiver. That is actually not, in fact, necessary. So I'm happy, Mr. President, to handle this however you'd like. I will say at the outset that everything in TPD's traffic review letter is a will comply, and everything in TPD's April 10th, 2023 review is a will comply, with the exception of the 3 waivers which we have identified, and I can provide additional context for those if you would like.
All right, let me go to the area that you're talking to, which is page 5.
Yes, sir.
We have two different sections, so let's go to page 5.
The zoning is addressed, everything under the variances, so the waivers are what we're highlighting. And specifically, we have 3 waivers identified. Waiver number 1 is from section 196, 61B1, which is a request to allow pipes to be less than the required 18 inches in diameter.
Phil?
We're in favor of all their waivers.
Okay, thank you.
And then
Is that the plastic versus concrete?
I was just adding that. That was something that came up at the Planning Commission, and we noted the HDPE is part of the waiver request there, yes.
So at some point, we'll update our ordinance to include that?
Do not.
We're working on a new stormwater ordinance.
Thank you.
We have a waiver request from 196-61B12 to allow less than required cover over pipes. And again, as we've said on prior projects, this is only for area which is covered by lawn. It's not going to be driven on. And then finally, 201-104B1, which is a waiver to not provide widening, curbing, and sidewalk along Mill Road. There are sidewalks, I would note, I believe, on the opposite side of Mill, and it's our opinion through our analysis that curbing would negatively impact drainage. We are willing and agreeable to pay a fee in lieu of all of those items. Everything else is a will comply.
Okay, then, going with this letter we have in front of us, let's go on to the Fire Rescue Department. Everything looks like you're going to comply with that.
Yes,
We have a letter dated January 20th,
everything is a will comply, as always, with the fire marshal.
and then you have the instructions as to the size of lettering and all that type of thing, so you're aware of that.
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then, I want to get to the Holy Grail, which is your stormwater management. I mean, I was very much impressed. They should all be like this.
I would make my job easier.
Let me back up then, excuse me.
That's on page 2, or the main TBD letter.
Right, thanks.
So page 2 of the packet. Back one forward.
That was a back one, that's not a
Right
back
there.
one.
And that was with
That's not what I want.
the- There it is.
No, it is not. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, going to page 4. Stormwater management ordinance. How about if you just tell us the 100, the 25, and the 1 year difference?
Sure. So the 100-year storm, the pre-development flow is 15.03, and the post-development flow is 2.524, which is a reduction of 12.506. The 25-year pre-development on site, 13.076. Post-development, 2.227, which is a reduction of 10.849. And then, I think you said 5-year last, 5-year is pre-development, 7.831. Post-development, 1.462, which is a change of, reduction of 6.369.
That's
So-
cubic feet per second is what we're talking about as far as the
Yes.
flow. And that the proposed change, is that times, the times table, is that what that is? So in other words, 100 year is reduced by 12 times the amount of flow?
No,
is it?
it's an actual reduction. It's 15 CFS pre-development, it reduces it down to 2.5 CFS. So it's a reduction in CFS.
I see it right there, okay.
Yeah.
As soon as you said it, I got it, okay. All right, that's pretty remarkable, I think.
Do we get a lot of flooding currently on Mill Road that this will, I know that we have lots of areas that get flooding, but
It was
I'm trying to
discussed.
remember.
I think Mr. Devaney discussed at the Planning Commission, the areas more to the north on Mill have had some flooding in the past. I don't know if this parcel specifically.
Closer to Bristol Pike.
The road in front of the site does build up, but we talked about it at the Planning Commission. DVRC keeps on site, and please correct me if I say anything wrong here, guys, at least 2 full days worth of food. Is it 2 weeks? 2 weeks, I'm sorry, see, that's why I needed the correction. 2 weeks full of food. They do have emergency vehicles that can get into the site if there is a flood. They have backup generators. So this campus can sustain itself for 2 weeks if there's a flood on Mill Road.
Okay, I'd like to address the TPD letter dated April 10th. On that le-
Sorry.
I'm sorry, it seems like, well, Mill Road, of course, is a state highway, a state road, I should say, and so you'll have to be subject to the PennDOT rules and regulations as far as egress and ingress
That's right.
and things like that. So, of course, everything would be contingent upon their approval. Other than that, it seems pretty straightforward. I have a waiver of number 10. You're asking for, is that
Right.
the only waiver on that?
Yeah, that's what we had discussed. That came up in the civil review as well. That's the sidewalk curbing and widening, of which we're willing to provide a fee in lieu.
And
Everything else is a will comply.
Phil, is that correct? You don't think there should be any curbing on that, sidewalks on that side of the road?
The specifics of the impact on drainage could override that. The only question that would come up is that something that would have been available to the residents? That's what normally we would request those sidewalks be installed, but since it's outside the fence, and we would concur with their judgment and fee in lieu of.
And there's sidewalks across the street
Across,
going up.
That's
But
right,
there will
right.
be sidewalks and such within the facility itself, is that correct? Within the complex, I'll say?
Yeah,
Is that
there's crosswalks and signage. One of the comments in Mr. Worst's letter that I can make the representation here for is that Mr. Clace's office and Mr. Worst's office will make sure that the final version of the plan will have the appropriate notes in terms of crosswalk, signage, et cetera, for internal pedestrian traffic, I think was one of the comments, and that's a will comply, will satisfy Mr. Worst.
So if someone goes out for a walk with an associate, I'll say, they'll be within the facility itself, is that correct?
Right, or if if something happened where they were going to walk on Mill, they would use the sidewalk that's across the street.
So they
That's
were across the street.
Right, or they will, they have, shuttles if they're going to the movies or going to a park. That would be something that would be vehicular in nature.
Okay, and what else I want to ask you? All right, is there any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
I just want to make another point, that and I know you're paying in lieu of, also I wanted to point out, because it's zoned institutional, it is a good mission taking care of people with brain injuries, but you're also paying taxes on the property, right? Because it's zoned institutional, but it's a profit.
Yeah.
So the township's going to receive taxes.
That's
It's a
correct.
bonus.
That's right.
So receive tax revenue from that. And then also, if there's up to 75 employees, they'll be paying wage tax also to the township. to
And a number of
support the
those
community.
jobs will be high-paying jobs associated, as you can imagine, with this use.
Right. And I would like to reiterate what Mr. Polari said and Ms. Champion. I had the opportunity to go up and visit the site, and the staff was very nice and professional. We went through the units, we met the patients. A lot of them were interacting and seemed like they were, well cared for, and it's a great environment for them to be in their situation, You wouldn't want people like this having to be in a nursing home, like this woman said, with 9,500, nothing wrong with 100-year-old people, but I mean, they're still functioning and they still have activities and they're still interacting with each other, and they need that emotional support to keep their lives the best quality we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I appreciate your
Thank you.
appreciate your presentation too.
So you guys know I love sidewalks. There's no sidewalks until you get to Chicky and Pete's office building now, used to be Frankfurt Trust. There is a area across from here, but the homes do not have sidewalks in front of them. The sidewalk does not start up until you get to where the old bank is, which is now the Chicky and Pete's headquarters.
But I think there's sidewalks in the industrial
I
place.
thought on Mills and was what I was
Only
saying.
up at Bristol Pike.
Going around the curb, I think there's sidewalks on it.
There is at the one building, but not going towards 13, where I would suspect that some of your employees may be walking down from the bus. So there's going to be an area which,
I know,
So-
the problem is that a lot of them homes sit up in the air, and the ground comes down right on the road.
no, I realize
Yeah.
that, but they had said that there's sidewalks across the street, that's why they're asking for the
Yeah.
waiver. But looking at Google Maps and the satellite, it's not fully on Mill Road. It starts kind of at the beginning and then down at the end at the curve. So, I just want to clarify that.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things that I had spoke to you about, Mr. McGinnis, in the beginning was people taking the bus, getting off on 13. Are you guys going to be able to shuttle them down instead of walking down Mill Road? Because I think that kind of dangerous. Is that something you guys may have considered, talked about?
No.
Because
We talked about that,
Brian?
Thank you. So people on TV.
I mean, I know it's asking something a little difficult, but the safety is something that is important.
Yeah, for sure. Brian O'Connor. Good evening, everyone. Our conversation internally was the logistics of it and safety. So to address both of your concerns, that was the main thing for us. If people are arriving at 3 o'clock, they can get a shuttle to the facility, and then when they're leaving as well, a shuttle going back.
Good.
Good.
To City Line and/or the train station, whichever they may be doing.
Correct.
So
I
you'll
believe
have
it's the 66 at Knights Road.
Yes, at City Line. But
Correct.
what about to the train station? Say they're taking the train up to Cornwell's. Will you also be providing a shuttle to there if
If there
needed?
was, yeah, if there was an employee that needed a shuttle to that train station, yes.
Or Tarsdale,
Correct.
Yeah,
whichever.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And it is up to 90 residents at any one time, is that correct? Your capacity will provide for 90 residents. Okay. Anything else, guys? Joe? All right, is there anyone, I'm going to ask, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to come forward to speak on behalf or against this particular project? Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to ask council, is there any additional questions you have? If not, I'll ask for a motion to be put on the floor.
I'll put a motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor, go ahead.
For property, for tax parcel, sorry, I'm just trying to find it, 02023 042 875 Mill Road for Delaware Valley Residential Care. The waivers, as stated on page 5 of TPD letter, section 19661B1, section 19661B12, section 201-104B1, so forth.
That's correct.
And paying in lieu of, thank you.
All right, and everything else is in place from the zoning, of course?
And everything else is in place from zoning, yes.
And
Did I miss anything,
the
Mr.
fire
Pizzo?
rescue department?
Okay, and then also make sure that we add that there's a deed restriction that has to stay
Thank you.
at
I did have
facility
that
for,
noted.
And we'll provide the verbiage to Mr. Pizzo's office for review, as long with the meets and bounds prior to recording.
Mr. Pizzo, did I miss anything?
I don't believe so. We just mentioned the deed restriction that was alluded to at the beginning of the presentation. We've gone through the waivers requested under the April 10 review letter of TPD, and we've confirmed that fees in lieu of will be provided. I believe there was also reference to the TPD traffic review letter of April 10, 23. All of the items in there are will comply items, as are all of the items in the engineer's review of April 10, 2023. Since this will also effectuate a subdivision of the property, deeds for the newly created lots, acceptable and forming content to the township will also be provided, and those will be recorded in the Office of the Recorder of Deeds before or at the time of the recording of the record plan.
Yes.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second on the motion. Any additional discussion on the motion? Not hearing any. All those in favor signify with an aye. 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 Any against? Any abstentions? Unanimous. Welcome to Bensalem.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right,
Our scouts are leaving.
I see.
Thank you, Scouts.
Good night, Scouts. Thank you for being here.
Hope you learned a lot about how government works. Good night, guys.
We'll take a break. Where'd you go? See you, man. See you, Sean. His mother's working for the school, but he's with me all day at the polls.
Did a good job.
We're going to take a short break here, so we'll be right back. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis.
He'll be fine. All right, we're on to agenda item number 11. Okay, here.
This is informational or something?
We'll have a discussion on the ordinance establishing and creating Chapter 173 Mobile Food Vending and amending Chapter 232 Zoning. There's quite a bit of information in this, so, I mean, I don't know what you want to discuss, if everybody read it. There's plenty there to read, so if you want to discuss this at our next meeting, I think that would be quite appropriate.
Yeah, I believe Mr. Paizo said we need to, we didn't advertise this in time,
Because we're not going to vote on it.
so we should be tabling this item.
Not necessarily that it wasn't advertised in time, but rather because of the fact that there are still some aspects of the ordinance that candidly council needs to fill in. We didn't advertise until you would have an opportunity to review it, discuss it, and for lack of a better way of saying it, fill in the blanks.
All right, my suggestion would be we fill in the blanks and discuss it after we have a chance to read the whole thing. And then we'll discuss it when we bring it up at the meeting, when it's up for approval.
Certainly, that's fine.
Okay? Is that fine with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, let's do that. Makes sense. Meanwhile, I'll be able to get my hot dogs on the little corners. I don't know, Joseph, we need to?
Inasmuch as it hasn't been advertised, there's no need to table.
Okay, I thought as much. Okay, so we'll find, so it'll be on the agenda our next meeting. All right, we're going to move on to agenda item number 12. Consideration of the three resolutions. This is for Act 537, that's the Pennsylvania Storage Facilities Act. This plan and revision for the new land developments for the following parcels. This is going to be identified several A, B, C, and D. We'll take one at a time, and which is going to be number and letter 12A, 4701 Somerton Road. Who's going to take these three?
I'm happy to. As council is aware, one of the conditions that you impose on the approval of land developments, such as the one that was before you moments ago, is that they have to comply with all of the requirements of the Department of Environmental Protection, the City of Philadelphia Water Department, the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority, and Aqua Pennsylvania as it pertains to the water and sewer service to various properties. In this case, one of the steps in that process is the approval of a DEP resolution allowing for the amendment of the Township's Act 537 plan to take into account the new sewage flows generated by various land developments. In the cases of 12A, B, and C, all three of these are land development projects that have been previously approved by the Township. The applicant is now at this point at that step in the process where they are submitting to DEP their Act 537 plans, and part of that process requires a resolution of the Township confirming that the Township has approved the plan and is in agreement with the proposed amendment to your Act 537 plan. So as you go through each of those, the same discussion that I just made would apply to all three. All three resolutions are in the form required by the Department of Environmental Protection and are in a form acceptable for your consideration and approval this evening.
Okay, we all know, we will approve these plans, of which A would be 4701 Somerton Road, B is 4020 Mechanicsville Road, and C is 4000 Bristol Pike. Is there any discussion on any one of those that we need further information from any individual councilman? If not, I'll ask. I think we can do all three at once.
Yep.
I'll ask for a motion to be put on the floor
I'll make
to
a motion that we approve the resolutions for Act 532 for
37.
4701 Somerton, 4020 Mechanicsville Road, and 4000 Bristol Pike as presented.
Well,
All right,
second.
motion on the floor, second. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
And against, any abstentions, unanimous, thank you. All right, and then moving on to agenda item number 13, lucky 13. Consideration of escrow release, Presto Tape, $21,020. Phil, we'll involve you in the meeting.
And I'm going to quickly involve Quentin.
That's right. So the first one we have is escrow release number 1 for Presto Tape at 1626 Bridgewater Road. This amount is an amount of $21,020, and it's leaving $15,490 remaining in the escrow account for the project. Currently, the project's nearly completed. There is a couple of things that they need to do regarding the site work, which is the concrete swale and the landscaping, which I believe the concrete was to be done this week or next week. So they're in the process of finishing up.
Okay, there's the information. Ask for a motion if there's no questions from the council.
I'll make a motion to consider escrow release for tax parcel number 2-45-21, located at 1626 Bridgewater Road, 1766 Winchester Road, Presto Tape.
Subject to review from,
Subject to review from
Finance.
Finance. Thank you.
all right, motion on the floor?
Second?
Second on motion, all those in favor? Aye. And against, any abstentions? We have another escrow release, which is going to be for Amazon.com Services LLC. This is release number 1 at 777 Winks Lane and 445 Winks Lane, in the amount of $1,842,245.25. You're on.
Yes, exactly what you said.
Okay.
Yes, so basically, this is the first release for the Amazon Phase 3 parking lot down at Winks Lane. Like Council President said, this is $1,842,245.25, which is leaving in the remainder of $224,457.75. Basically, the majority of the work has been done on the property. There's one item that hasn't been completed yet, which is some grading work and landscaping, as well as some stabilization due to some Verizon lines on the site that were removed way after the project had started.
Right, so it's very little work has to be
Very little work has to
finished
be
on that one.
completed,
Okay, I
correct.
ask for a motion to be put on the
I
floor?
have one question.
Yes.
One question, yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. The corner of Winks and State Road, where the houses were,
Yes.
nothing has been done since they took the demo down, and when they cut, they don't cut all the way down to the road, so it's like an uneven cut. I happen to drive State Road a lot lately anymore. So I'm wondering what's up with that. Weren't they supposed to do a lot of improvements at that
That's-
site there? Is this related to this release?
This is
or
not related to this release. That is part of the HOP project for the intersection. This is a whole separate account and project on our books.
So that's a separate escrow?
Yes.
Okay. I was
Okay.
wondering why we're releasing so much money when that was kind of not moved on since we took down the houses.
Appreciate your question.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'll ask for a motion to be put on the floor.
So moved.
We have a motion as suggested, the release B.
Subject to review by the Finance Committee.
All those in favor? Aye. And against, the abstention, unanimous. Agenda item number 15. This is a consideration, this is a reduction of permit fees for a gym for the HVAC upgrade at Bensalem High School.
They're finally going to fix it, huh?
Well, they're going to get reduction of their permits anyway.
Doesn't
so.
mean it won't leak anymore.
No, they had new air conditioning put in with the, hasn't worked since they put it in.
Hasn't worked, okay, well, let's back to we have a request of, to reduce the fees from $53,592 to $26,800.50. It's for this high school, Bensalem School System. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor to accept as presented. Second on the motion, all those in favor? Aye. And against, any abstention, unanimous. Number 16, consideration of a reduction of fire inspection fees for the Bensalem Township School District. Almost the same thing, from $8,715 to a 50% reduction of $4,357.50. and this is for fire inspection fees. Any discussion on this?
I'll make a motion we approve as presented.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second on the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, number 17. Consideration of reduction of permit fees for the facade project for Bensalem High School located at 4319 Humeville Road. And the reduction fee is going from $19,088.50 to $954.25. Any discussion on this reduction request?
Make the motion we approve as presented.
Motion on the floor? Second? We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Unanimous? Public comment? Sit down, Joseph. All right, no public comment. No one's here to even have a comment. We close that part. On to other business, number 19. Mr. Phil, I'll start with you. Nothing from you. Thank you. Debbie, anything from you? Nothing from you. Thank you very much. Mr. Pizzo, thank you. Okay, to our council members.
Sorry, you know I have to. I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day. Enjoy your Memorial Day. Be safe. Uber is cheaper. Just call Uber, okay? Be safe out there. And we had the honor of being with the Bensalem Police Department today for the Police Memorial Service in honor of Officers Yezi and Armstrong. Everybody showed up today. It was such an honor to be with you all. Thank you for continuing to celebrate them and honor them and their families. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Polari,
Ditto.
same thing. Mr. Knowles?
Yeah, I just wanted, I would reiterate what Ms. Benitez said. It was a nice, very, very nice ceremony. It is every year, but it was especially nice today for the police memorial. And I want to remind people that we have our parade is Memorial Day, and I believe it starts 10 o'clock, but you have to get down a little early.
It does.
And we'll be parading from like above Holy Ghost, below Street Road a little bit, all the way down the Mill Road to the property where they're putting the care facility that we approved tonight. And then the following Wednesday, after the Memorial Day parade, I believe that the amphitheater starts their program of shows. Next Wednesday is the first one, and it looks like they have a great lineup. Check out our website. It's a great time out on a Wednesday night, and enjoy it. It's very inexpensive, and it's a quality entertainment, and it's a very nice atmosphere to take your loved ones with you. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, that was fine. Thank you, sir.
Ditto, everybody. Come out, enjoy the parade. If you want to enjoy it, everybody will be there. It'll be a good day to celebrate our all our men and women who have served our country, and everything else. And I get to celebrate my birthday that day.
And it's your birthday? Well, that would be wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Birthday kisses or birthday punches?
Siblings give me punches still, even though
They still do,
They
right? Your
still
brothers,
do.
your big brothers,
my
I'm
big
sure.
brothers do, yes.
That's funny.
Mr. President, I forgot to mention that my daughter shares a birthday with Stacy, and she's turning 21. So, happy birthday, Carmen. I love you.
So they have to eat the same piece of cake? Is that what you're saying? No? Who else's birthday is on June 22nd? Okay, they're going to Uber, she says. That means they're going to have a great time. Listen, I reiterate what everyone says. Today was a police memorial. It is every year. And Joe hit it right on. For some reason, it just seemed to be much more somber and had a more meaning to it today. For some reason, I don't know why, but it
It's
it
because
really.
of everything going on in the world, police officers getting shot.
I think that's
people
it.
getting
I think
shot,
that's what it is, but it certainly had much more meaning to anyone who was there. So if you can see it on the reproduction of the TV on our local TVs, you may want to take an opportunity to see that. Memorial Day Parade, as we know, that is to memorialize those who have given their life in service to our country, and that would include not only our military individuals, but our police department and our EMS and anyone who served us. And so we make that an important part of it, and we try to make that part of it from where we are also. And we give out beautiful little American flags to all the kids, all the children, and the people on the sidelines. So when they go down the Bristol Pike, they're all waving it. It really looks pretty cool. It looks pretty good, and the kids love it. And of course, we give them candy, throw them candy out, and that's part of their experience in Bensalem that we'll remember forever. Okay, our next meeting is going to be in June after Memorial Day, and I have it down for June the 12th. And with that, I'm going to say good night to everyone. We'll conclude this meeting. Good night, Gracie.